How do you follow your spark and also set goals? I feel like I get this question often from people of, does following your spark mean you just have no goals and you're completely going with the flow? What does that actually mean? How do they go together? So today we are going to talk all about that. How do you bring in both the masculine and feminine energies when it comes to following your spark and setting goals in your life? What does that look like? And if you're new to me, I'm Gina Casbarro, the host of the Follow Your Spark podcast, and I am so glad you're here. And you also might not know this, that I used to work for Lululemon for about 10 years, and that company is where I was first extensively trained in vision and goals. So I've done this so many times in so many different ways and learned so many things over the years that I am really excited to share with you in this moment. And I feel like this is particularly important right now because when this is airing, this episode, it's going to be in the time frame of this astrological phenomenon that many are calling Barbeau's basket or harmonic convergence. It's this time where a number of planets are aligning in an incredibly unique way that people are saying is the most rare astrological phenomenon of our lifetimes. So what does this mean for you when it comes to goals in this conversation today? So one thing that Andre Barbeau said about this astrological phenomenon is that it marks a time when humanity takes a giant evolutionary step forward. So I'm not going to get super detailed into all of the aspects of what's going on astrologically. And what I do feel like is important for this conversation is that we have this incredibly powerful cosmic energy behind us in this moment. And this is something that's going to propel us forward for the next 2 years and beyond. So I love aligning goal setting sessions, visioning sessions with powerful astrological energies because why not? We have this extra cosmic support in this moment to amplify whatever dreams, whatever visions, whatever seeds we're planting in this moment. And one thing I believe about manifestation or the law of attraction or setting goals, anything like this, is that we are co-creators with the universe. So the universe isn't going to do everything for us, and we can work with the energy of the universe to support our goals and intentions. Today, I'm going to talk about 10 things that I have learned in this process of vision and goal setting, following your spark, and talk about what can help you design a life that feels unique, authentic, passionate to you from a place of flow instead of force, without being attached to the goals that you're setting while still having a direction that you're aiming for. So if you're ready to lean into this incredibly powerful cosmic energy, buckle up, let's go. Okay, so the first thing I want to share is this quote that I share with my clients at our first call whenever we start working together. And it's this quote from Elizabeth Gilbert that says, "The universe buries strange jewels deep within us all and then stands back to see if we can find them." And this is something that I believe that we each came into this world with a unique set of gifts, skills, lessons to learn, jewels within us that, like Elizabeth Gilbert says, are just waiting for us to uncover. It's like if you've ever heard the story about Michelangelo and the David, that he just chipped away at everything that was not the David until the David emerged. We have all of these sparks inside of us, these strange jewels inside of us that are just waiting for us to polish them. And it's up to us to discover them and to polish them. So that's one thing I think about when I think about goals, when I think about sparks, is like we have these things that already resonate with us. So it's not about chasing something, it's not about grasping for something, it's about uncovering what's already there. So how do you do this? The first thing I want to share with you that's so important is giving yourself space to imagine. So at Lululemon, when we were first hired, part of our training was this vision and goals setting. And we went through this whole session to dream and imagine about our lives 10 years from today. And we wrote this whole vision and then we broke it down into 10-year, 5-year, and 1-year goals. Now, this isn't about we need to know exactly what's going to happen in 10 years. This is about giving yourself space to imagine, I wonder, where would I potentially love to be 10 years from now? What is the trajectory I could imagine myself wanting to aim for? It's just about being in this space of imagination and letting yourself go there from what you know about yourself, about what you desire, about the life you want to create. What could that look like? And having the space to do that in this very structured kind of way was an incredibly powerful activator for these dreams. So that's the first thing that I think is so important is actually setting time aside to imagine and ask your heart these deep questions of what is it that you would love to see come to life in your future? When you imagine your life 10 years from today, what could that look like? And a big part of this imagining for me too is about letting go of what you think you should be doing and asking yourself what you actually desire. What would actually light you up? And I think that sometimes this can be a process. It definitely was for me. At different points in my life, set goals that very much were based off of what I thought society expected of me or what was normal, and set goals aligned with that. And the more that you do this, the more that you give yourself space to imagine over time, I think the clearer and clearer that becomes. So that's the first part of giving yourself space to imagine. The second thing I want to share with you is to give yourself permission to dream without knowing the how. Because so often when we think about our future, we're using our current brains. We're using our current experience. We're using what we currently believe we have capacity for. So sometimes when we think of goals, even a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're thinking we're going to have the same capacity as we do right now. And that's just not true. If you look at your past, you'll see how you've grown, how you are more capable today than maybe you were 3 years ago, 5 years ago. So when you're imagining your future, to really give yourself permission to not know how it's going to come to life yet. You don't have to have it all figured out because your future self is going to help you figure that out along the way as you go. You're going to learn more things as you go. So you don't have to have the how all figured out in this moment. Just give yourself permission to dream. Number 3 is that the essence matters more than the form. So when I'm talking to people about their desires, their goals, I'm always asking them, why does that matter to you so much? What is it about that particular dream, that particular desire that is so meaningful to you? And really being able to identify that. Because when we set goals, when we create this vision, it's really a North Star. It's something that is aiming us in a particular direction. So the more that you understand why a goal or vision is important to you, the essence of why it matters, the more you'll be able to steer yourself in the direction of anything that feels like that, anything that reminds you of that. So another thing that inspired this episode is that I recently was digging through my computer and found a bunch of old vision and goal sheets that I wrote with Lululemon when I worked there. So back in the day at Lululemon, we would do these vision and goal setting sessions, and then we would put our goal sheets up on the wall for everyone to see. Everyone in the store, all the team, all the customers, everyone could see these goals. So I looked at these recently, and I want to share some of them with you because, again, this connects to this idea of the essence matters more than the form. So I'm looking at vision and goals that I wrote back in 2012 when I was 25 years old. So I was forecasting and imagining my life at 35. And I'll just read you the vision of this. It says, at 35 years old, I live in a bright, spacious apartment in the heart of downtown Baltimore with my loving partner and well-behaved dog. I also own the unit below mine and rent it out to friendly, responsible tenants. After having lived and worked internationally as a training manager for Lululemon in Spain, I'm happy to be grounded in one place close to family and friends, working as a retail training manager in Baltimore. I completed my 500 yoga teacher training and currently teach power yoga classes in the neighborhood. I have hosted yoga teacher trainings in Costa Rica and practice yoga daily. I also perform with a Baltimore Taiko group throughout the year. I live close to my sister and we have Sunday dinners together often, cooking with local food from the farmer's market. I am surrounded by friends that motivate and inspire me every day. I see my family multiple times a year and travel with my partner at least once a year internationally. I love my life. So that was my vision. And when it came to my goals, like I said, we wrote out these 10-year, 5-year, and 1-year goals. So I'm going to share a couple of them that stood out to me and share about how the essence of this came true in a different way. So obviously in this vision that I wrote, one thing that was important to me was owning property, real estate, and having tenants. That is something that has come to life in my life the past couple of years. I think I was, I've been in this house for 3 years, so 39, 38, 37, 36. I was about 36 when that happened. So this was a prediction from 35. So it happened about that time. And at the time I worked for Lululemon. So I was seeing my career and my future within Lululemon. And what was most important to me always was training, was people development. So basically throughout my time at Lululemon, I did regional goal setting sessions. I was always in charge of people, of training, of development. So that was what I was most inspired by. That was what mattered to me most. So I have essentially built my own business around all of the things that mattered to me at that time. And then I want to share another piece of this other goal setting sheet that I did in 2017, which was about 10 years ago from today. It's actually about on the cusp of my 40th birthday, which is exactly where I am now. So it was so fun to read this. And I'll read the vision for this. It says, on the cusp of my 40th birthday, about to turn a decade older, I reminisce about the beauty that my life has been through my 30s. In the span of 10 years, I have gotten married, had 2 children, traveled all over the world, started my own business, taking bold risks, fell on my face, had wild success, and learned to love and embrace myself in a whole new way. I have created a legacy through my work in personal and professional coaching, feng shui consulting, and dedication to music and dance elevating communities. People count on me for my commitment to growing and developing myself and standing for others to let go of their fears and take on their dreams, finding more joy and happiness in their lives. In the next decade, I most look forward to experiencing life side by side with the people I love the most. I'm celebrating all the laughter, tears, hugs, meals, failures, and successes as our lives continue to unfold in all of their glory. And then I end it with a little quote that says, do something today your future self will thank you for. So it was kind of wild to read that vision because so much of that has come true. And then other parts of that, I've gotten a lot more clarity about what I actually want now. So obviously the things that have come true is I have this beautiful business, I am coaching, I'm doing feng shui, and also the dedication to music and dance. It's interesting because 10 years ago, I was 29 and I was very deep into salsa, but there was so much of my relationship to dance and music that didn't exist yet. And I was surprised even to read this of like, wow, myself 10 years ago knew how important dance and music would be to elevating communities. And I didn't understand yet what that would look like. I just had this dream, this desire, this resonance, this somehow inner knowing that that would be really important to me. So in these goals, when I wrote 10-year, 5-year, 1 year, in 10 years, it says, I help run a performing arts organization that brings joy to everyone it touches by April 2027. And that has very much come true. I help run Sparkle Space, a movement and dance organization that brings joy to everyone it touches. So that was so cool to see. And another goal says, I operate a wellness organization that offers tools for goal setting, personal development, mindfulness, and feng shui. Absolutely has come true. So it was again so cool to see these seeds that I didn't even realize 10 years ago I really had the vision for and have been working steadily towards that vision ever since. And there's other things in here that says I co-lead a retreat incorporating music, dance, and development. That actually came true in January 2023. I co-led a beautiful yoga retreat with a dear friend of mine, Patty LeConte. And I led all the personal development coaching sessions inside of that retreat. And I said I attend a yoga and drumming retreat with a person named Lyle Pova at the time. And, last year I ended up on a drumming pilgrimage with Alessandro Belloni. A different person, but same essence of what matters. And another thing that was interesting that I put in here is I wrote a year from now, when I wrote this goals in 2017, that I host a potluck once a month to create community and support my mental health. So I've been running potlucks or hosting potlucks at my house for decades, clearly. And it's interesting that this came back around 10 years ago, that I am now hosting monthly passion potlucks again for my community, to support my community, to have powerful conversations of what we're all passionate about and how we can support each other. So it's so interesting and powerful to see how we are planting seeds and we don't know how they're going to come to life, what's going to happen. And the more that we stay connected to the essence of what matters, the form could look different. Speaking of which, I talked about in here that I was going to be married and then I was going to have 2 children. And over the path of this last decade, I discovered that that's actually not my path. I actually don't want to have children in this lifetime. And I'm at this point not even 100% sure about marriage. So this is something that our goals change. What was always important to me was community, connection, relationships, having a supportive family around me. That is all the same. It just looks a little different in my life today than I imagined 10 years ago. And for me, over the past 10 years, there was still a lot of unwinding of what I feel like I was programmed to think life was going to be like, to actually go deeper into what I wanted for myself in my life. So as a kid, I always thought just like marriage and kids was the path. That's just what happened. That's what you did in life. So I really had to go on a deep journey finding out, wait a second, is that what I actually want in life? And finally coming to the conclusion of no. So sometimes you set goals and on the path to aiming for them, you discover, actually, I don't want that anymore. So when you're setting goals, if you're going through a process like this, it's okay to not know 100%. All we can ever do is aim in the direction that we think we want to go in this moment. And as we walk in that direction, we will get more information along the way. Another thing I will say about this essence matters more than the form is that probably 10 years ago at Lululemon, I was at another personal development retreat and we came up with purpose statements. So the purpose statement that I discovered in that moment was, I am here to spark a tidal wave of transformation. And that is something that still stays with me to this day, and I imagine will likely stay with me for the rest of my life. And this is something that people will often ask me, do you think that you'll be coaching 10 years from now? Is this like a forever thing? And my answer is always, I don't know exactly what my career is going to look like 10 years from now. And what I don't think is going to change is this purpose. I am here to spark a tidal wave of transformation. That can look different and has looked different and has shown up in many ways. And the more clear I am about that, what really matters to me, I can then again create things inside of my career that are aligned with that vision, and also my personal life, my whole life. Like that feels true across my whole life. I am here to spark a tidal wave of transformation. So it's really powerful to have again the essence of what matters to you, and that can become a compass and North Star. Okay, number 4 is about activating your vision. So you've given yourself space to dream, you've allowed yourself to tune into what actually matters to you, you're clear about the essence of that. Now it's about bringing that vision to life in your imagination. So I do all kinds of practices with clients that are creative practices, intuitive practices to help us, or to help people, to help you imagine this. So it's the same with professional athletes, Olympic athletes, who part of their training is visualization, visualizing themselves doing the dive 100 times, 1,000 times before they actually do the dive physically. They're imagining this perfect form, this perfect dive, because the more that we train our brains to see that vision, the more it becomes natural and possible for us, because our brains are going to, it's practiced. So when it comes to activating your vision, being able to imagine yourself there, it's like if you could imagine going on a vacation. You could see yourself on the beach. You might be able to even like feel the sun on your skin. Imagine the taste of like you're drinking this coconut and you can feel it in sensory detail. So as you're imagining this vision for your life, the more you can activate it like a movie in your mind, the more, again, you prime yourself for that. And what I was telling a client the other day is like this practice about activating your vision, I was going to say it's not like magic, but it is kind of like magic. The way that it works is that what we focus on, we are going to see more of. What we focus on expands. So if we're focused on why something won't work, why we're not capable, why we're never going to reach that goal, why it's pointless to think about it in the first place, we're going to find evidence of all of that. We're going to find evidence of why we can't do it, of why it's impossible, etc. Versus if we spend time imagining why we can do it, we're seeing ourselves there, we're feeling what it feels like to be that, we are priming our brain to focus on that. So we're going to then notice opportunities. We're going to notice what feels like a resonance with that, and we're going to move in that direction. So for me, one way I did this when I was going on my year-long solo road trip from 2021 to 2022, I wrote out this whole vision of what I wanted this year to be like and feel like and the experiences I wanted to have. And granted, it wasn't in detail that I have to go here at this time and this time and this time. It was more about the essence than the form. And then I recorded that vision on a voice note on my phone and listened to it every night and every morning, basically, as I was going to sleep and as I was waking up, because that's when we're in this liminal time of like in between dream and waking. That's again priming my brain, priming my subconscious to be like, of course this is going to happen because I can see it. I've seen it. I listened to it every day for 10 months. Of course this is going to happen. So when I was on the road, I had already practiced that reality, that vision. So when obstacles came up, when detours came up, I had already thought about in the vision how I would handle that and what that would look like. So I already had this blueprint, this map to guide me. And that's the power of activating your vision. Imagining what it would be like, seeing yourself not just through the beautiful things and the achievements, but also seeing how are you going to navigate the challenges and the obstacles along the way, and imagining yourself doing that as well. Number 5 is about mining your own inner wisdom, because this is something that I see happen all the time when people are setting goals, asking this question of how am I going to get there? How is it all going to come together? They're hesitant to set the goals in the first place because they can't figure out the how. So one thing that you can do, you can look in both directions. And when I say both directions, I mean to your past and to your future. So when you look towards your past, you can find evidence of how you've overcome massive challenges, how you've created things that you didn't know how to create, and ask yourself, how did I do that? How did I do that? And you'll likely come up with a list that is not necessarily like the granular steps that maybe your mind thinks it wants, but it's things like I was able to trust myself in the face of the unknown. I took steps one at a time, even though I didn't know the whole path. I had courage to keep going. I got support when things felt hard. Whatever it was, things like that. And that becomes, again, a treasure map. A gold mine of information that can help you in the future, that can help you create new things that you've never created before because you actually do know how. You know that you took steps without needing the full plan. You know that you allowed yourself to rest when you felt like you needed to rest. You know that you reached out for support when you needed support. Whatever it was, you can do those things again in the future and use that as evidence that can build your confidence, that can build your capacity to move forward. And then you can also look forward, look ahead, and think about and imagine the version of you who has already created the life that you're dreaming about, and ask them for guidance. ask them to help you, ask them for words of wisdom. Imagine, how would that version of me handle this moment right now? I wonder what they would do. And then just start embodying that version of you, to start becoming that version of you, start walking yourself into that version of you until you're walking yourself into that future reality that you're imagining. So we have so much inner wisdom inside of us that can guide us on our path, both from looking at our past and looking at our future. Number 6 is that there is a power in declaring your dreams out loud. So there's something, at Lululemon, when we wrote all of our goals and put them on the wall, that does something. When you are speaking something out loud and then all of a sudden other people can also see it, there's a power in that. It's like when people get married and they're speaking their vows and they're being witnessed by all of these people. They're being witnessed by their community, by their friends. They're also being witnessed by spirit. They're being witnessed by their heart. They're making a declaration. And I believe that sets something in motion. And all of a sudden we have to take ourselves and our goals more seriously than maybe we did before, because we've declared them. We've said them out loud. Now there might be those people in our lives, our friends, our family, who might ask you, hey, how's that goal going? You said that you were going to write a book. You said that you were going to start a podcast. What's going on with that? And it creates this energy. Again, what we focus on expands. And I remember when I first started working for Lululemon Miami, one of the things I wrote down on a different goal setting sheet was about, I wanted to perform this song Bento Box with my taiko team. And it was this incredible song, and it had 3 drums, and I was drumming across from another person using the same drums. It was this epic song. And I so admired the people on the team who played this song. And I was very new to taiko at the time, but I was just like, I want to play the song, I want to perform it. And just writing that down, I don't even think I told my team that I wrote that down, but writing that down was so powerful. And I can't remember the time frame, but at least within a year for sure, I was on stages performing that song across from that person that I so deeply admired, playing this. And again, because there's something that happens when we declare that, then we have to actually do the things that it would take to bring that vision to life, because we've said it, we've written it down, we've spoken it out loud, and now it's up to us to actually pour energy and intention into that dream. And number 7 is important and connected to this, is about surrounding yourself with other dreamers. So I also believe that who you speak your dreams out loud to matters. If you are talking about your dreams with people who are not big dreamers, who might discourage you from them, who might say, oh, that's really unrealistic. Are you sure that you want to aim for that? Don't you know how many people fail? And don't you know how many entrepreneurs and businesses don't make it? And don't you know blah, 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 blah? That energy can be a total drain. So being able to choose intentionally to share your dreams with people who are also dreamers, people who are going to see you for what's possible, who are going to be able to imagine your highest potential as well, and maybe even see bigger dreams for you than you can possibly imagine. There's something so powerful and uplifting when, especially if we're doubting in a moment, to be reflected back in the eyes of someone who is like, no, you got this. You can do this. Here's all the reasons why you're capable. It can help you build back up that belief when you're faltering. So I have been so blessed to have communities like this with Lululemon, to have coaches, to have friends who are also growing and expanding themselves and are examples in their own lives, and also mirrors to me of what they know to be true about me, what they believe is possible for me, and are going to help lift me up in the moments where I'm doubting. Number 8 is about creating the banks of the river. This is what came to my mind when I was thinking about this. What I mean by this is that we have this vital life force energy. We have our attention. We have our desires. And when it comes to vision and goals, what I think about this masculine and feminine is that energy can be directed in a really powerful way. So if we think about the banks of the river as like that structure, and our vital life force energy is the water flowing through. So when I think about following your spark and setting goals and how those things work together, it's like when I am tuned into what things are sparking my curiosity, my passion, my inspiration, then I'm creating a structure that can aim myself in that direction. I'm honing in on these are the things that feel most important to me right now that I'm going to prioritize, that I'm going to focus on. And then I'm going to direct my energy that way. So, like I said, I get a lot of people asking about what's the difference of goal setting? Like, how do you set goals without being attached? And some people who like setting goals and don't like setting goals. So for me, this is really about when I am clear about what is pulling me forward, what's lighting me up. It's then being intentional with my energy of, okay, this matters to me, this matters to me, this matters to me. So when I was young and wrote all of those goals, and I had these goals around my career at Lululemon and training and development and music and dance, having that vision, having that clarity of these things matter to me. I'm here to spark a tidal wave of transformation. Now I'm going to look for opportunities and look for ways to direct my vital life force energy towards that. I'm going to choose intentionally spending time focusing on dance and drumming and music. I'm going to choose intentionally what I focus on at work and investing my time and energy in training my teams and people development and all of that. That is like creating the banks of a river. Because if we don't have clarity on any of this and are potentially just completely unfocused or like going with the flow of life, never asking ourselves these questions of what do we actually desire, what actually matters to us, either the water can just dissipate or go in many different directions if we don't have that structure pointing us in a particular direction. And this doesn't have to mean that you know everything about everything of where you're going in 10 years. It can just mean you're connected to the essence of what matters and you're directing your energy towards things that resonate with that. Which brings me to the next part. Number 9, follow the sparks even if you can't see the whole picture. So this is something for me recently. I've been getting more clarity, and apparently my 10 years ago and 15 years ago self already knew this, that dance, drumming, music, I'm being called to bring them to life in my work in deeper ways. I don't know exactly yet what that means. So I've just been praying to the universe, to spirit, to my heart of if there's a mentor, if there's a program, if there's a modality that would serve me to study in, to train in, that would support my own highest good, that would support me contributing to my community and my clients in the most powerful way that I can, please guide me. And I've been getting some sparks and some breadcrumbs that I've been following. And at one point a week or so ago, I was starting to feel a little overwhelmed. Okay, there's so many options. How do I know which one to choose? So I was doing some intuitive journaling on this and asking this question, how do I know which one to choose? And the answer was like a little cheeky from my intuition that was just, do what you always do. Follow the sparks one at a time and trust that you will be guided. And I was just like, oh yeah, even though this is like my whole philosophy, sometimes I need a reminder of this, of we don't need to know the whole plan. And this is again where the goal setting and follow your spark pieces overlap and come together. I don't need to know and need to have it on my vision and goals. If I was to make a new sheet of, okay, I'm going to do this dance teacher training at this time and it's going to be like this, all I need to know is the essence that dance matters to me, music matters to me, drums matter to me. I see them playing a bigger role in my life. I get pieces of this vision when I tune into my future self. I don't know what that looks like yet. I don't know the how. And I know that as I now scan my environment and live my life and meet people, I'm going to feel a resonance to that essence of that intention. And that's what this is about. It's about having the banks of the river pointing me in this direction, and then also following the flow, following my spark, and allowing myself to take it one day, one step at a time. So the last thing I want to share, number 10, is about then taking those inspired actions. Because again, when we are co-creating with the universe, our vision and goals don't just create themselves. I 100% believe that we are all creators. We are creating and designing our lives every single day. And for me, that's something that is incredibly important to me as well, to use my creative life force energy as powerfully as I possibly can. So when you've taken the time to imagine your dreams, tune into the future that you could see yourself heading towards, to let go of what other people think success is, tune into what success means to you. You're letting your inner wisdom guide you. Now it's about following those sparks, taking those inspired actions, even if you don't know exactly where they're going to go. And when I think about vision, goals, one of the biggest things I feel like I've learned over the course of this past decade is that the more I can let go of my attachment to things needing to look a certain way and happen up on a particular timeline, the more I am in flow and in alignment with life and spirit. Because so often we can set these arbitrary goals of, I want this to happen on a certain timeline. I want to be married by this date. I want to have children by this date. I want this particular role in my career by this date. I want to be making this amount of money by this date. All these things. And these things are arbitrary. And oftentimes we have messages from society of what we think we should have accomplished at certain ages. And when we get caught up in that, when we get caught up in comparison and self-judgment and doubt, all of that, I feel like is putting mud on top of the jewels that we're trying to find inside of ourselves. And the more we can wash that off, let that go, the more we're able to connect to those strange jewels inside of us from a place of wonder, of curiosity, of joy, of gratitude. Because when I think about goal setting, what I've learned is it's not about needing something to happen in order to be happy, in order to be fulfilled. The way I think about following my spark, the way that I think about goal setting now is that this life is a journey of becoming. It's also a journey that's lived in this moment. So if we can't find gratitude, if we can't find joy, if we can't find fulfillment in this moment, we're always going to be chasing it because this moment is all we ever have. So allowing yourself to take the inspired actions, to take steps day by day, one by one, and enjoy that process, I feel like is key. This is what life is about, enjoying our lives as much as possible every day, enjoying the beautiful moments and the difficult moments. Because of course there's going to be challenges and obstacles that come up along the way. It's all part of life. So another thing that is coming to my mind is recently I was on a coaching call with one of my clients and she was talking about goals that she had set with work. And at one point she was like, yeah, I learned that I have really high expectations for myself. These goals were too high expectation. And I said, what does that even mean? Too high expectation. And what we uncovered after the conversation was that the goals were actually not aligned with anything that she valued. They were just things that she thought would make the company happy or be what she thought others expected of her, but they weren't actually aligned with her values, the essence of what mattered to her. So she wasn't really compelled to go after them. It wasn't that she couldn't or that she didn't have capacity to. It's that they weren't aligned with what mattered to her. So again, in this journey of vision and goals, in this journey of following your spark, I think one of the things that's most important is, again, giving yourself permission to design your most authentic, inspired life. Not your mom's, not your best friend's, not your sister's, not anyone else's, yours. And allowing that to continue to change and evolve with time. So I hope this conversation inspired you today. And if you want to lean into this incredibly powerful cosmic energy that we're in right now, I felt really inspired to create like a throwback experience similar to these vision and goal setting experiences that I did with Lululemon. So I will be hosting an Activate Your Vision session to tune into this dream of where you can imagine yourself heading in the future. And then we'll break it down into what are the goals that you could be aiming for in the next few years that could move you towards that path. not from a place of you need to have everything figured out right now. You absolutely don't. This is more about the essence of what matters to you. And we're going to do really creative, intuitive practices to anchor into this vision and really begin to feel into this version of you, who you're becoming, what you're aiming for, so that we can, again, activate your vision during this incredibly powerful astrological time. We're going to be riding the waves of Barbo's basket, and this is going to be the perfect time to activate this vision. So if you want to join us, go to ginacasbarro.com/vision, save your spot, and we'll see you there. All right, my friends, remember there is so much power in declaring your dreams out loud, and I cannot wait to hear about yours. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.